We are live. So welcome to Navigating the Murky Waters of Romantic Relationships, our February Ask Coach G Live, a monthly free session where you gain access to my expertise at no cost to you. All right. So, hi, my name is gbemi, or Coach G, as my clients like to call me. I'm a psychotherapist. I'm dually licensed in the state of Texas as a licensed professional counselor and a licensed marriage and family therapist. I'm also a nationally certified counselor, and I'm board certified in applied behavior analysis. I have a burning desire to fill the gap that has been created by limited access to mental and emotional health support. So in my practice on Tango Together, I lead a team where we do the essential and very important work of helping determined people like you work through life's twists and turns so you can get unstuck from old patterns and become the version of yourself you desire and deserve to be. I've been doing this work for over a decade. My first gig with the National Suicide Prevention Line was in 2012. So I have extensive experience, right? But my work has mainly been in one-on-one sessions because as a psychotherapist, that's the majority of my work, working with individuals. But you see, the thing with therapy is that it is priced outside what many people can afford, right? For some people, I work for some companies where the company pays me to provide services as an employee assistance program. So if you don't have the privilege of working for a company like that, or coming out of pocket for money to pay for personal therapy, what happens to you? That concerns me. And so I'm determined to make my expertise more available, right? More accessible. So through workshops like this one, I'll share my expertise for free. I also have a virtual village called Untangle Together Virtual Village, where the goal is for us to get together and in small, a small community, help ourselves, right? Courses. I'm making courses so that at a lower price point than it costs for like sessions, you can gain access to the transformative tool that you need. My goal is for there to be something for everyone at every level. And I consider it a privilege that you allow me to support you on your journey. Thank you. All right. So today, our agenda, we're going to talk about love and its many definitions. We're going to talk about the different types that they are. And believe me, there's lots of types per the research. We'll talk about some theories of love, and I'll share with you my favorite one. Then we'll go into the real meat, which is why figuring out your own definition matters and how to do so that you can have clarity, no matter how murky things get, regardless of your current relationship status. A couple of people were asking me as we were setting up the session, is this for single people or for married people? What if I'm not dating, or what if I'm not interested in love at this time in my life? The concepts I'm about to share with you are applicable to everyone regardless, because I take a unique approach of taking the focus of others and what love looks like for other people to internal work. What does love look like for you? What is your definition? And can you develop a roadmap so that when you enter into the world, as crazy as it is, and however crazy it gets, you have a roadmap for your own plan because you have done the internal work to determine what it's like for you. Before I went to bed last night, I was thinking, and then I put my thoughts on paper. I wasn't in front of this computer, not on paper, in my notes app. I wasn't in front of this computer to add it to the slides, but I wrote it down and I'm going to read it to you. Are you ready? You leave here knowing more about love than you did before. Not because you don't already know a lot. You could very well know more than me, and I don't doubt that. But because a lot of our ideas are shaped unconsciously. What you will learn today will shape your thinking going forward. And as a result, your life, your love life specifically, whether you're single, married, divorced, sworn up love, committed to love forever and ever, there's better. And it is my desire for you that you achieve it. And I would like to help you. So that's my intention today, to share with you my expertise, my clinical expertise as a licensed marriage and family therapist who has done this extensively to help you get from where you are now to where you need to be. All right? Do you agree with that intention? Is that something that you would like to do? If that's a yes, please put that in the chat. Let me know we're on the same page and we can keep it moving. All right, I see yes. Okay, thank you guys. So first, let's hear what you think. What's your definition of love? First of all, and I would really appreciate if you guys could put it in the chat. What's your own personal definition of love? When you hear love, what comes to mind first, right? So as you think about that, and as you put it in the chat and I reel the answers out, I also want you to think if that's what your answer or what your definition has always been, if something happened to change that definition, and what are some interesting definitions that you have come across that may not be the ones you share, but that you have heard. I see in the chat, I see vulnerability. Yeah, that's it. That's a good one. I also see love is giving, right? Yeah. I see the will to extend. I'm going to expand this video so I can see more of the chat. The will to extend oneself for the purpose of nurturing one. Okay, I like that. Love is consideration. You guys are on the money. Care and consideration, yes. A desire to do right by someone and to be their safe space. And there's yours. I like this definition because reciprocity. As you are their safe space, they're also yours. That's what I'm hearing, and I love it. Love is kindness, care, consideration. Yeah, I agree. Love is in the little actions that make people feel seen by people in their community. Yeah, love is sacrifice and comfort, mutual respect. Yeah. The will to extend oneself for the purpose of nurturing one's own or another spiritual growth. I like that as well. Thank you, guys. Respect, thoughtfulness, and vulnerability. These are excellent answers. So has this always been your definition? Did anything change? What are some interesting definitions you've come across? I like the ones I saw today, but we'll move quickly because I want to teach you guys some really cool stuff. Somebody says, so no butterflies definition here. Well, I mean, love is still butterflies in the stomach, the thing that is moving you till you can't move yourself anymore. All right, let's move on. Of course, because I'm a clinician, I'm always going to look at the dictionary definitions, and the first one I looked at was the APA. That's the Psychology Association something definition, right? So love, a complex emotion that involves affection and tenderness towards another individual, sensitivity to their responses, and experiencing pleasure due to another individual. A quality or feeling of strong or constant affection for and dedication to another. For example, motherly love, or attraction based on sexual desire, the strong affection and tenderness felt by lovers, that as well, romantic love. Also, I like this one. This one was very neuroscience specific. The release of certain neurotransmitters and hormones in the brain, dopamine, oxytocin, which contributes to the feeling of pleasure, bonding, and attachment. So as you can tell, lots of different definitions, yeah? Here's the thing though, some more reflection questions. When someone says, I love you, could they mean something different from what you're hearing? What about when you say it? Could you be saying something different from what the other person is hearing? And with so many definitions, is it any surprise that things are murky? Because who would agree with me that the circumstances, the scene, the terrain of romantic relationships these days, the terrain is wild? Who would agree? Or is that just my imagination? Or maybe because I'm a couples therapist, so I see things. Yeah, someone says yes. Does anyone else agree that the terrain is, yeah? Okay, I'm seeing a lot of agreements. Yeah, It really is wild. It's crazy, isn't it? Yeah. And so, is it a surprise that with so many different definitions, it is the way, it is? Let's look at some theories. This is the most exciting part for me because as a therapist, I'm really big on psychoeducation because look, what you don't know, you don't know. And when you know what you know, it will then change your life. It also matters when you learn what you know. Let me give you an example. If you grew up and English wasn't your first language, then, I mean, you didn't know it. You didn't know to read or write English. You probably learned the language of the people who raised you, right? And then perhaps you move to a predominantly English-speaking country, and then you're having difficulty, getting a job, navigating, life. And so you decide to get the skill. So you learn English, right? The adult education classes, ESL, English as a second language. So you learn. Learning then opens up to you a whole new world. Like your life changes because you can now see a sign and know what it says. You can read directions instead of depending on somebody to let you know, what the road you're looking for is. You can find places, you can advance in life, you can go to school, you can get a job. Learning to read, learning that new language literally opens up your world to a whole new dimension. That's how learning other things in life also happens. Yes, there's adult education, but would you agree that the life of a person who learns to speak English as a child and who grows up speaking it by the time they're 40 might be significantly different from the life of a person who learns to speak English at 35 and has been speaking it for 5? What do you say? Would there be any difference in their experience, even though they now both learned the skill of maybe even how to read and write? Would the experiences be different? What do you guys think? Yeah, I'm hearing somebody say definitely. I'm hearing somebody say yes. There will be a huge difference for sure, right? And so while learning is great, the timing of our learning is also important. And so I'm really big on psychoeducation because it's not our fault that we don't know a lot of the things that we don't know. I don't know about you, but there was no formal training on emotions in my education until I went to grad school, and I then went to go and study feelings and emotions, at graduate level, and learned all the things that I now know, which I'm now happy to freely teach. Did you have formal training on feelings and emotions? And I mean, this learning I'm speaking about happened in my mid-30s. So yeah, I'm seeing some no's in the chat. And would you agree that the experience of somebody who may have learned about feelings and emotions as a child, perhaps from when they were 5, will be significantly different from mine? Would you agree that our experiences will be different? Because we now know about feelings, right? Yeah, I see definitely in the chat. Thank you. We both now know about feelings, but look at the gap. Look at everything that I have learned that has been unhelpful, that I now have to unlearn and relearn. Do you guys see why I'm passionate about teaching and sharing what I know? Because everything I learned as an adult, and it literally changed my life. And so now I carry a passion to teach people things in very practical and very simple ways so that you can immediately apply it to your life. That's my life's work. And that's why we're here. So if we don't know, we don't know. When we know, and then we do better. So I enjoy closing learning gaps, right? And just giving people practical tools that they can use. And it is my desire that at the end of today, you will leave here knowing something you probably didn't know prior, or maybe already knew, because there's a lot of knowledge and information out there now, but maybe you've just learned a new way to apply it. So let's talk about the different types of love, right? So per the Greek, right, they have different ones. Eros, which is sexual passion, which is the more like passionate, physical, intense type of love. And then there's philia, which is like deep friendship. Then there's ludus, I don't know how to say that, I'm not Greek. but it's a more playful kind of love. It's like the love of when you're just getting to meet somebody, you know, and you're finding them fascinating, you know, that kind of thing. That's what the playful love is. Then there's also agape, which a lot of us are typically familiar with it because we've probably heard it spoken of in religious terms, is the more altruistic, selfless, you know, type of love. That's agape is. My computer is choosing this very minute to spaz, and I should be used to this by now because something always goes wrong when I'm working or trying to present, but it still manages to throw me off the loop. So, but then again, like I usually say, we move. All right, so there's agape, the altruistic, selfless, unconditional type. Then there's pragma, long-lasting, long-standing love, enduring or endured over time, matured over time, and has meaning, right? So there's that one. Then there's also this one called philautia. Sounds a lot like this other word that talks about self-love. I wonder if they're related. I don't know if you know that word, but yeah, this one, excuse me, love of the self, but it speaks more to self-compassion in the definition, not the one that first came to your mind. Then there's storge, family love. So kind of like the love of safety, security, and support. So shared memories. If you have endured something with someone, you might feel that like love of safety and security. Then there's mania. That's obsessive love. It sounds cute when you hear about it, but you really don't want it because it tends to be unhealthy. You're speaking codependency, one person waiting for the other person to heal and complete them. So per the Greek, those are the different types of love that we have. Now, let me show you this more interesting one that I quite like. It's called Sternberg's triangular theory of love. If you've ever heard about it, please put it in the chat and let me know. Because I learned about this in school and I've spent a lot of time researching it. And I teach it to my clients a lot in my work as a psychotherapist. I really want to teach it to you now. All right, so tell me if you've ever heard about Sternberg's triangular theory of love. Yeah, intimacy, passion. Look, I'm with people who know. Okay, someone's saying it's a first. Someone else saying they've heard. Okay. All right, so we have a good mix. So I have an interesting idea. Do you guys want me to pull my whiteboard and break it down? Or should I just talk about it? I'm a visual learner. So when I like learn things, I'll be happy to break it down for you people. Would you like that? Okay, I see a lot of whiteboard, please. Okay, I got you. What's my work if I'm not breaking down the complex science? All right, let's pull up the whiteboard, share screen. Whiteboard, let's do some psychotherapy. No, sorry, psychoeducation. Let me know when you can see and I will start to draw away. So I can show you people this thing and hopefully it will stick. And when it does, now you know what you know and look at your life becoming better because you learned. And if I tell you that I love it, believe me when I say so. All right, are we good? Oh, for some reason, I can't see the chat anymore. So I need to move things around on this page. So give me a second while I optimize this page for the work I am about to do. Or maybe I'll just ignore the chat, but I don't want to ignore you guys. We'll make it work. All right, I'm looking at the chat now. Hold on. Whiteboard, yes, we can see. Okay, let's do it. All right, so, okay, I've moved the chat to the side, but I also need the whiteboard to be on top. Oh, somebody can't see the whiteboard. What do I need to do differently? Let me know. I don't know why you can't see it. I'm trying to move it up. How about now? Can't see it. I'm not writing anything yet. I'm just trying to get it set up. I'm sorry, there's like so much going on the page at the same time. I can't see it. I'm about to start writing, okay? Oh, Okay, you know what? I'm going to minimize the floating thing where I can see you guys. Okay, I've taken that out of the way, so this should be less distracting. Okay, I found my pen. I am about to, okay. So now you should be able to see what I'm drawing. I need to use my hand to stabilize. No, I'm going to undo. That no longer looks like a triangle. All right, can you guys see the, whatchamacallit now? And now I can't see the chart again. Hey. Okay, now you can see. So this is Sternberg. Let me write it. Stern. One second. I can't recall how to spell his name. I think it has an R. No, but it's right here in the slides. Yeah, S-T-E-R, Stern, B-E-R, Sternberg's triangular theory. I can't spell, guys. Of love. All right, so that's what we're learning today. So he describes love as having three corners of a triangle, which are intimacy, passion, and commitment. Oh, still can't see. I'm sorry. Hopefully you see it in the, does commitment have two M's or one M, guys? Help me. Two M's and one T, Abby. God bless you. God no go shame you. Commitment, right? And so the 8 different types of love are a mix, a combination of all these 3, right? So let's get into it. The first one being non-love. When I pull the slide back up and stop sharing, you'll be able to see the list of everything, but let me just pull it right out of my brain. And if I make a mistake, sorry in advance, nobody perfect in this world. First one is non-love, which is the absence of all of these 3 components. So that's a random stranger to you or somebody with whom you're not intimate, you have no commitment, and you have no passion. So that's the first one that Sternberg describes, yeah? Then the next 3 are the 3 on this triangle, each angle with none of the other 2, right? So let's start with intimacy. Intimacy is likeness. And I like to think of intimacy when I explain it to my clients, like opening your heart for somebody to see. That's intimacy, right? So a warmth and a closeness, and it brings to mind vulnerability, right? Feeling safe enough to show your true self to someone, right? So that's what he calls friendship as one type of love, is the one that is intimacy only without commitment and passion, yeah? So that's number 2, friendship. Then number 3 is infatuation, which only has passion. So think of it as love at first sight. I just saw you and I fell in love with you and now I love you with all of my heart, right? That's infatuation. It only has passion. It's lost, it's fleeting, and it's just a strong physical attraction. Not like anything is wrong with it per se. It's just that that type of love has the absence of intimacy. That means you don't really know the person intimately, and commitment, right? So it is only passion, just pure. And I describe it to my clients when I say intimacy is I want to show you my heart. Infatuation is I want to show you my private and I want you to see my own too, right? So if you think about it like that, it helps it stick. Then the fourth one, Sternberg calls empty love, which is only commitment. There's no intimacy and there's no passion. Again, not to say that there's anything wrong with it, because you have to think about how our ideas of love are based on our cultural context and perhaps our upbringing, family of origin, and religious influences. So there's no universally good or universally bad within the context of this conversation. We're just discussing the terms in the benign way that they are. And I'll tell you later why it's important for us to do that. Commitment only. Now, the thing about commitment only is that there's no intimacy and there's no passion. Doesn't mean there never was. So sometimes a stronger love that may have had other components can devolve into this, right? So in some cultures where people just stay married, maybe for the kids or because that's the promise that they've made and they don't want to break that vow, it's not uncommon to find commitment without intimacy or without passion. So they stay together, but they're not opening their hearts to each other, nor are they opening their privates to each other, right? Also, it is interesting that the reverse can be the case, where arranged marriages can start only on commitment, but they can grow to then include intimacy and passion as well, right? But this is just the existence of one to the exclusion of the others. If we're still on the same page, give me a thumbs up. Let me know I've not lost you, because now I'm inside this whiteboard and I'm swimming all by myself. Right. So we're now going to go to the next one, which is romantic love. The next stage is, thank you for the thumbs up in the chat. I appreciate that. You guys are great. The next set of three are combinations of this triangle. So for example, romantic love is right here. It is the I need to hold this thing and stabilize it. I'm trying to undo, and this thing is writing more. Okay, so the combination of intimacy and passion gives us romantic love, right? Which is, for example, the very common one where you are dating somebody. You guys are showing each other your hearts, may or may not be showing each other your privates, but you're attracted to each other because passion is attraction. And that's romantic love. But there's just no commitment yet. That describes the state that you are. That's a very common, perhaps I would even say maybe the most common one when people think about love within the context of the way people talk about love these days, right? Then there's companionate love. Companionate is the one that is the intersection of intimacy and commitment, right? So I'm going to go ahead and write it here while trying to stabilize this. Companionate love, right? So intimacy and commitment, but there's no passion, right? So it's like, it can be like a personal relationship that you built with somebody that you share your life with, but there's little to no sexual or physical desires. So sometimes marriages can be like that, where, or even long-term relationships where you open your heart to each other, you guys still like each other and you're close, and you have a commitment, which is that long-term bond or the decision to be together. They're part of your future plans, right? But maybe the sexual or physical desire is gone, right? So a marriage where passion is gone. Then it can also happen in friendships because it's a stronger type of friendship, because in friendship, there's only intimacy, remember? But in this one, there's also commitment. So maybe long-term friends that have committed to be with themselves like forever. And sometimes even family connections can be like this, where we're close to each other and we're committed because we share that family bond. All of that except the attraction, which is the passion part, right? So there's no sexual or physical attraction involved. And then you have the seventh one, which is the intersection of commitment and passion, which is fatuous love. I'm going to try to write it as well. Oh, there's no space. I'm going to put an arrow. Fatuous love. There we go. So fatuous love, this one is whirlwind courtship and romance. I saw you, we fell in love passionately, purely physical, right? And then we decided to like make a long-term commitment to each other and like get married, right? So like a whirlwind courtship and romance, you met today, you married next week, or you understand? The commitment is motivated by the passion, but is missing the stabilizing influence of intimacy. And as you can imagine, this type of commitments don't last because it's only driven by passion. Not to say that it can't, but mostly, as the research shows. Then there's the final one, which is the ideal one, which most people dream of and desire and want. And it is the intersection of all three, and it is called consummate love. That's number 8. So consummate love, excuse me, is the ideal relationship towards which, lots of us strive, and for good reason, right? It's you open your heart, you open your body, you're passionate, you like each other, and then you're committed, like for the long term, you're committed to the relationship and to each other. Let me make that quick distinction, because Sternberg does that in the research, where he makes the distinction between a commitment to the other person, right? So a person can be committed to the well-being of another person long-term without being committed to the relationship, right? He calls that one decision. Then a person can be committed to the relationship without being committed to the person. So decision and commitment, Sternberg makes that distinction in the research, but it matters for the sake of when you're trying to think of and describe the type of love that you want for yourself, which is my point of all of this psycho-educational thing, is teaching you, is for you to be able to think about the kind of love that you are working towards, so that as you navigate, the terrain, you already know the type that matches what you want, so you can easily recognize it when you see it. Or if you've already seen somebody and you're already in commitment, you can put the work in to get to where you want to go. If we're on the same page, give me a thumbs up. I'm going to stop the screen share now. I think we all got it. Are we clear? So the 8 types of love: non-love, friendship, passion is infatuation, right? Then commitment is empty love. Then we have romantic love, companionate love, fatuous love, and consummate love. All right, I'm going to stop share now and we can go back. All right, we good? Hilarious. Now I have to check the meaning of consummate because of how cultures define it. Yes, and I think that you bring us to a very, very important point, which is that, you see, in all of these definitions, it's not a function of right definition versus wrong definition. So please, I want you to think about that, because the importance of each component to each person is going to be different from person to person, from couple to couple, and is highly dependent on culture, background, upbringing, your own personal preference. So it is not about consummate love is the best love. If it's not consummate love, then all the other loves are fake love. That's not what we are saying, because there are people who, in their culture or per their personal circumstances, what works for them is maybe just intimacy, or maybe the reality of their lives, as it was with people who have some kind of companionate love, is that maybe there's just no physical attraction there anymore, but they're committed to each other and they actually like each other. That consummate love that is shown in the movies and in books is, I dare say, a more modern experience, because you probably know older people who consider their situation to be satisfactory, and you are looking at them and you're saying, how can you say this is love? Why would you settle? Sweetie, your own definition is allowed to be different from someone else's definition. That's why it's important to clarify yours, so that as you shop, you can shop for the one that matches. Because imagine somebody who feels like, look, I just want to be married because I want to start a family. So this person doesn't have to particularly like me, as long as they provide a steady base to raise children in. Now you are there looking for a passionate love that you guys will have the hots for each other till you are 80. Then both of you meet. Then you both say, I love you. Is that going to work? What do you guys think? Put your answer in the chat. Or will there be problems because that's what they call error from the ruler? Error from the ruler, because from the beginning, the definition, but we were all saying, I love you, right? So I want you to think about love and the definitions, because see, for example, I really love catfish. But when I say I love catfish, if I buy the catfish and I rear it, please, what's my long-term plan for the catfish? Is it to nurture it for us to spend together forever? Or for it to be grown enough for me to be able to cook it so I can crush his bones? Was I lying when I said I love catfish? I was describing the desire in my heart, which I like what they wrote in the chat, pepper soup. So somebody is telling you, I love you, and it is how they are going to finish you for their own personal advancement that they are talking about. And you are here thinking of consummate love or forever. Then you now say, we are in love. Sweetie, or like my friend likes to say, sweetie, did they lie? Is it possible that maybe they were talking about their own definition, but because we hadn't done the work? But like I said, you've met me and you're going to be exposed to knowledge that you may not have been exposed to before. You've learned something new and your life changes going forward, because going forward, you are going to think about love differently from you may have thought about it prior, because for majority of us, or for the general population, our ideas of love are shaped by our experiences. Maybe what was going on in our family of origin, that's what we knew to be love. Maybe what we read in a book, watched in the movies, we saw on social. Our ideas are shaped. So there are people in cultures who are having what they genuinely believe to be satisfactory relationships. And here we are saying, no, love has to look like that. Love is going to look different for everybody. And the earlier you realize that and focus on figuring out your own, the better it will be for you, because you can then have better outcomes, okay? So a couple of things to think about is very personal and very cultural. Also, the balance of love is likely to shift through the course of a relationship. Because you see that consummate love of this thing, it's not easy to attain. Actually, according to Sternberg, very few people attain it, and even fewer people are able to keep it. It is harder to maintain than it is to achieve. Because, for example, a consummate love can, be there, but passion can be lost over time because of neglect and just not caring about things, right? And then it can then become, it can go from consummate to companionate, which happens a lot, right? Like I usually say and tell my clients, things and people don't drift together. They drift how? Please put the answer in the chat. By the natural nature of things, people don't drift together. They drift how? Thank you. Apart, right? And so if you are able to achieve consummate love at some point, it does not mean that that's going to be the level forever. And the way life is set up, there are always things going on that may threaten the balance of the relationship. So when we say relationships require work, it is not in a way of punishment to say you are going to suffer through it. It is just that things don't naturally by themselves, by default, stay together. So achieving consummate love is work, maintaining it even more work. But let me tell you the beauty of hope. It is that you can dream of the life that you desire and put the work in to get there. However, which is usually the hardest part to explain to people as a couples therapist, if you put one person and one situation, you can relatively predict the outcome, all other things being equal. But once you put two people like this, the outcomes are endless. The possibilities are endless. Why? You cannot control other people's behavior. So you can have all the desire in your heart to have consummate love, but if the other party isn't in it with you, then would you ever be able to achieve that dream? Those are the questions. So think about that the balance can shift through the course of the relationship, and there might be things, or there may be things that might be done to change it, but it's like with life, there are no guarantees because you can't control other people's behavior. Also, a strong dose of all these three components for many of us forms the idea of an ideal relationship. However, it doesn't automatically happen, right? And time alone doesn't make intimacy, passion, and commitment to grow. So why is it important that you should know about these components? Knowing this can help you avoid pitfalls. So remember my analogy of learning to read at 5 and learning to read at 35? A lot would have been avoided if you had been able to read earlier. So the earlier you know it, the better. But if you're already 35 and you don't know, there's adult school. What you know, you now know, then you can do better going forward. So it can now help you work on areas that need improvements. Because let's say you desire consummate love and you do your own personal analysis and find out that you guys are in companionate. You can then say, but I desire passion. How can we bring the passion back? Do you see how this knowledge can then help you if you're already partnered up? And if you're not yet partnered up, congratulations, because it then helps you streamline, right? So we'll do question and answer after, but that's basically Steinberg. And it was the main thing that I really, really wanted to make sure that I explained and thought today. And let me know if you all get it, because once you know it, and it just changes the way you think about love going forward. Move. Okay, can you guys hear me? Okay, I'm getting feedback. Thank you. So before we go to question and answer, thank you. I'm getting the feedback and I quite like that. I appreciate that. Before we go to question and answer, I want to explain that when we do question and answers, I'm not going to be able to do a deep dive into your personal unique situation, right? So what we're going to do is I am going to offer, because that's what the virtual village is for, to help by taking questions and answering things in the village square. Today, when we're done, for maybe like 30 minutes or maybe an hour, I will commit to it because I've given you guys my word. So if you scan this QR code, if you're not already in the virtual village, please scan it so that you can put your application in. The virtual village is always going to be free to join. Someone says the QR code is not working. Tim, can you just please put the link in the chat? It's untangledtogether.com/UTBV. The team is going to put it in the chat. Just go and just click and submit your application, and we'll try and speed it up and get it approved so that you can get your questions answered. That's what I can promise, and that's what we made UTBV for. For the purpose of this workshop, we're just going to get through the material, and I'm going to answer the questions, which I'm hoping that you have been putting in the chat, and I'm hoping that the team has been collating, but we can only answer them on like a generic level. Is that okay? So let's go to Q&A. I have some of the questions already, so I'm going to go ahead and pull them up. And if you have any that you want to think about and quickly ask now, I'm happy to, cover that for the next few minutes. And then we will do some other like question and answer things. What did I do to the Zoom? You guys, anything that can go wrong will go wrong. Page not found error. Fam, I don't know what to say, but believe me when I tell you that the team is on it. Because we've been moving things around for a little bit, so maybe something happened. But just be patient with me. The team will fix it. I really, really trust them. Okay, so let's do questions. In the meantime, you can put your questions in the chat while the team is working on the page. But it's untangledtogether.com/UTBV. You can apply to join the virtual village and we will take care of you. So someone says, based on Sternberg's triangular theory of love, who is more likely to have a companionate marriage? I'm guessing that this person wants to increase their odds of having a companionate marriage, which I guess is, what a lot of people really, really want for themselves, right? So Couples who have been together for a long time are the most likely to have companionate love. And it's because it takes time to build intimacy, right? So while the initial passion may have faded, there's still deep intimacy and that long-term commitment to one another. Because what that commitment does is that when times are rough, they're able to, I don't want to say rough it, they're able to survive, right? Because every relationship has like natural seasons, kind of like the seasons of like regular life, right? So summer, winter, spring, fall. It's not always summer, and it's not always going to be winter either, right? So every relationship, I dare say, will cycle through different seasons, right? So it is the strength of intimacy that provides that force, that strong force, because you actually like each other, even on days where you don't feel loving towards each other. Because except we're trying to be describing an ideal life where you never piss each other off or you never do anything to evoke strong emotions, that's a human being who, like you, is flawed. And in the process of getting to know each other, you are going to piss each other off. You are going to offend each other. You are going to do things that require forgiving or even require abandoning, right? And so consummate love, passion isn't the strongest one. Passion is a key component because, of course, it has to be there. But the biggest components are intimacy and commitment. So, and that time isn't automatic, but time typically takes care of that because people are able to weather the storm, are able to then find something great on the other side, which is why it's important that everybody learns about conflict resolution and healthy ways of resolving and working through things, which is why couples therapy is great. People don't only go to couples therapy because things are bad. People go to couples therapy to prepare, right? And if you're someone for whom consummate love is your goal and you're unmarried, congratulations, because you have time, more time and more opportunity to prepare. And as a couples therapist, one of the services that I offer is premarital counseling. I actually have like a package that I put together that we can talk about after. But let's go back to the question so I can answer them and we can keep it moving. How does Sternberg's triangular theory of love pertain to dating? Right. So I take it that this person is interested in learning about how it relates not just to marriage, where there's typically long-term commitment, right? But also dating. Answer: understanding the different types of love can help give you greater insight into perhaps your existing relationship or the one that you're looking to form if you're not dating yet. So if you are able to recognize the kind of love that you're experiencing now, if you're dating, or the kind of love you would like to experience if you're trying to date, you can already decide if the relationship has long-term potential, right? So this doesn't only work for single married people, it also works for people who are dating and people who are not dating as well. Because like I said earlier, it takes the focus away from everyone outside, but it brings the focus on you, right? What type of love is love at first sight? Infatuation, right? Because you don't know them and you don't have the enduring force of intimacy. Love at first sight will qualify as infatuation in Sternberg's triangular theory. Immediate, intense attraction to another person. It includes passion, but it lacks intimacy and the other commitment components. Where do you drop your questions? On the sites. The team is fixing the link. They will give you the right link when you're ready. You go and put it in the village square. We have something called a virtual village square, and that's where you can put your questions. All right, I can see another question that I'm going to answer now, but I need to drink some water first. All right, we are back. How can we exactly identify the top type of love we have in our relationship? And what can we do to add one of the missing components? I like this question because it expresses a genuine desire, which I'm glad you have because you want better for yourself, right? Which means that you're already on the right track. You need to do a personal analysis of your situation, or perhaps work with a professional to help you figure out what's the unique one for you. And that was why I decided to take time to explain that triangle in detail, so that way you can look at it and say, which one is important to me? Which one do I have? So please take a look at that triangle, right? Maybe what we'll do is we might just clip that part and share it. Take a look at that triangle and do a deeper dive, for yourself or with a professional. I'm happy to announce like group coaching that we can do to help with that, or even one-on-ones. And what we can do to add to one of the components, I'll teach that as well. And I think that concludes all of our questions and answers for today. I'm so glad that you were able to join us. I hope you've been able to learn a thing or two. Follow me. Every month we'll have one of these sessions where we'll teach something for free. You can join us. You can interact with the material later. You'll find them on our YouTube page. Thank you so much for joining us.